My name is Julia, and this is my first video. Possibly it's not going to be the first video, but it's the first one that I will ever record on this camera. Feels kind of odd. Anyways, I wanted to share some really interesting, to me anyways, insights today. And I live in Vancouver, and I'm originally from Germany. And I lived in Vancouver for 13 years. I kind of left Germany because I didn't like it there. I felt the energy was really intense, and it was very heavy energy. And I didn't like the people there. I hated them. I didn't understand that that was also hating myself at the time. But I came to Vancouver, and I actually went to university here. And in my master's degree, I was confronted, I guess, maybe that's not the right word, but I was tackling the task of conducting a survey with the building inhabitants that was supposed to move into a workplace called CIRS, the Center for Interactive Research on Sustainability. And the question was, how can a building enhance inhabitant well-being? How can a building actually create net positive inhabitant well-being, health, and productivity? And it was supposed to be a regenerative building, and it's a completely new intention for a building. So I was in the system at UBC, and I felt really inspired to create something new. But I didn't know what regeneration meant, and I had no idea what it meant for a building to be net positive. So I just asked the question. I just asked myself, what does it mean? What does it mean for a building to be net positive, and how can a building actually enhance inhabitant well-being? I found that all the literature that was existing in the building felt really lame and boring and uninspiring, because it was regurgitating the same that we had done over and over and over again. Green building literature, there's an energy performance gap, and the building doesn't perform the way it's supposed to, and all these kinds of things. And in my program, which is called Resource Management and Environmental Studies at UBC, there are hardly any people actually working with human well-being and with the internal processes of what constitutes well-being, what contributes to well-being, what those kinds of things. And I found that really interesting, that so much focus was laid on the external environment and not really that much focus on the environment, what was happening inside and the relationship between the two. So I asked myself a lot of questions, and that's probably why my degree took 5.5 years to complete. But I asked myself, what does it look like for a building to be net positive? So it would be like a building in which people work and it actually enhances their life. And I read and read a lot of psychology articles that I found really interesting in terms of what constitutes well-being. But then I tried to weave a completely new structure. I read, living systems theory of like nature, and how does nature work, and how can we bring processes into the building so that the people within them could come alive again, and that way we could enhance our well-being. Because I realized really quickly that a lot of the issues that people had in buildings had nothing to do with the building. It was like people wanted connection to nature. People wanted connection to each other. They wanted clean air. They wanted control over building systems. So after reflecting, I realized that almost all of these things actually didn't really have much to do with the building itself, that it was more I want to have a relationship with nature, and that is usually cut off in buildings, perceived to be cut off in buildings. And I want to have control over building systems. And then I started thinking, what is it that we really want control over? And that's really everything that's inside of us. I mean, sure, we want control over heating systems, and the building controls like water and all those things. That's obvious. But the frustration was when people had no control over their affective states, so their feelings or their thoughts in regards to their coworkers who annoyed them or things like that. So it's like communication. It's like a lot of relationship things. So I really tried to come up with something new. And it really annoyed me because my professor was not, he was trying very hard, I have to say that. And he was very supportive and very understanding and very patient, because it took a really long time. But I just couldn't get the answer, and I realized that the goal was for a human, if the building is supposed to be net positive in terms of energy and well-being, that meant that the human had to be that, because we are the creators of our reality. Nobody teaches us that, but we are. And so I realized that, but I was trying to find a process with which I could make that happen. How can I connect the people to the vision and things like that? And in this whole process, I got super confused, and it took me years and years. But my intention was basically just that I wanted to find a process to become net positive myself. And I fell into a really deep hole, first of all. And it was not positive at all, I guess, if you could call it not positive or negative, whatever. It was a pretty dark place. The opposite of really what I wanted. But at the same time, I kind of did understand that it was like a really deep clearing process inside of me. And this was when I went back to Germany, so I actually faced a lot of the things that I didn't like about it. There might be some more, but yeah, anyway, but I was completely dissatisfied when I finished, before I went to Germany. I finished my master's thesis, and I was really dissatisfied because I think I barely passed, and I was so frustrated that I could not birth my new ideas into this thesis because it was not acceptable and understood by anyone, which is probably a good thing. After 2 years of Germany, I came back to Canada. For some reason, I felt intuitively drawn to it. And today, I had a really amazing insight. I've been working with people, the authenticity process, and they've been great in supporting to have insights to return, I guess, to this point of clarity, more clarity, by working through layers of inauthentic stuff that are actually blocking us from being this net positive, energetic, energy creating being that we are, beyond all of these layers. So yesterday I went into the forest. I went into a forest with a friend, and it was, I think, the first, or maybe it was the second time that I was walking through the forest, and the forest felt fake. And I was like, I go into nature to feel good, to re-energize myself, and to be at peace, and yet this forest felt fake. And I used to feel like a connection to trees and feel their energy and everything, and it was like, no, there was like nothing. I felt like I was like walking through some kind of like fairy forest that was artificially created out of weird trees, like plastic trees or something. That's what it felt like, which was really weird, but I didn't really put it together until today. I started thinking about my master's thesis again and about regenerative architecture and how architecture can support us in how could architecture and the homes that we live in, can they actually enhance this process or do they not? And then I realized, I guess it came full circle in a way, that my understanding is coming full circle in terms of nature at this point is fake, so it's inauthentic, because we're running an inauthentic program. And that's complicated to wrap your head around, really. And I don't think I'm not sure if I fully have understood it. I'm just starting to. But it's interesting, like all the things that I was researching in my thesis was how can we as humans turn into a living systems again? And then I was looking at our connection to nature, but yet nature was externalized and it was a fake program. And I cannot at this point explain it any better than that, because I'm just beginning to understand this. But being back in Vancouver, I've realized that it's a place where there's a lot of astral energy, and there's like there's a lot of false light and new earth kind of teachings. There's a lot of talk about astrology and the universe. You have to trust the universe, and the universe is going to guide you, and the universe is going to come and save your ass if you are good, and if you follow karma, and if you do good things, then it's going to come back to you. And I found myself strangely irritated with all of that stuff. And I was like, what? The universe and God is going to come and save us? And I don't know. And I got really confused. But I guess what I've realized for myself now is that I feel like there's a lot of inauthenticity in that. And then Germany, so it's almost like it's like one half of the duality, like the infinity sign. Like there's the duality of light and dark, and I feel like there's a very like new earthy kind of light structure here, whereas in Germany it's the dark, heavy, more reptilian, old world, cabal, mind control, like just like heavy, dark, old shit. I don't know how to put a better energy. And so it's interesting to see now how I've come here to clear some of these things. And I totally forgot as I was going through that I was doing that. But I guess I just trusted this weird feeling in a complete loss of orientation that, I don't know. So now, it's interesting because I'm coming back and I'm actually having a feeling of success that I never had when I finished my thesis. And actually, I never actually felt like, oh wow, I've done this amazing thing and I'm a master of this and that now. And now I feel like I have such a deeper understanding of our environment, and I have so much more control over what is inside of me, and therefore what is being reflected outside of me. That has given me the feeling of success, I guess, that I was expecting from my master's thesis. So it's almost like, it feels like a graduation of the university, the one universe. I actually don't think that there's just one, but naturally I have no physical evidence of that. Yeah, so that's that. I just wanted to record this because I have a tendency to forget these things after a few days. They just actually, no, it's not. I'm not going to forget it, but it's going to be different. So with this, I feel a new level of confidence, and I am looking forward to sharing more in the future and supporting others on their journey into their environment and their empower own authentic life, relationship to themselves, recovering soul genetics, activating, restoring, regenerating, however you want to call it. Thanks for watching. Until soon.